All right.
So the question today is, other than Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, is there another way to get your book out there where bookstores can buy the book, online resellers can sell the book, and you can skip some of the hassle of dealing with Amazon? Diana, welcome to Reality Coaching for Writers.
Hey, Eddie. Good to see you.
No fluff,
fluff, just the real stuff here.
just the real stuff. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about IngramSpark and Ingram today, because it is one of those questions I get from authors often. They're familiar. Well, some of them are familiar with Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, which is, they call it KDP, and really the Kindle part is a misnomer now. But it's Kindle. It's Amazon's publishing platform for publishers and authors. So a lot of people are familiar with KDP. Fewer of them are familiar with IngramSpark. And so, Diana, you've done a little bit of research on Ingram. Maybe give the audience a little bit of background of who Ingram is and why they can help authors get their books out there.
Well, if you just look at their website, what I really liked is that they have a real strong support system for authors. It's 24/7 available support, and they really break down every aspect of self-publishing. They have, great advice on book cover and design. They have a template that is very easy to use to set up your book and format your book. They talk about, they have experts that come in on their podcast and educate their authors, and their distribution is worldwide. And they even can hook you up with some foreign translation work. People to set, Spanish, put your book in Spanish, Australian, and they work with bookstores on returns, which is a big plus when you're heading into a bookstore. They like to be able to return a book if it doesn't sell. and they advise you on that. They have options even for book returns. So I think it's a full package, but especially the distribution is what I like.
Yeah, so let's take a little bit of a rabbit trail. What was the Christian book distributor that worked out of, was it Pennsylvania, that you and Heartline
Whitaker House.
What's it, Whitaker?
Whitaker House, but it's Anchor distribution.
Okay.
Anchor.
And they had access to a lot of the Christian booksellers.
They still do. They're still one of the largest book distributors in the world. Yeah.
Okay, so Anchor would be another one if you want to go that route. And just a little bit of a background of how book distributors normally work. The traditional model is that you print your book and then you ship it to a distributor like Anchor or Ingram, and they put it in their warehouse on pallets, and it sits in their warehouse. And then as a bookstore orders a copy, they go pull it off the shelf, package it, and ship it to the bookstore. So if you think about what we just said, that's a pretty complicated and expensive way to get a book to a bookstore when there's very little margin in the book to begin with.
Right.
But that's what book distributors do, and that's how they get books. That's how most of the books go to stores. Just as a background, it's rare that a bookstore will buy direct from a publisher. Sometimes they will if there's a good selling book or if they've got a direct relationship with the publisher. But most bookstores like dealing directly with a distributor because that's just one account, one bill to pay. They negotiate discounts.
For many authors, right? I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so when you're comparing the two between Amazon, KDP, and Ingram, Amazon is going to sell your book directly onto the Amazon platform. And Amazon considers themselves a book distributor. There is an option that you can click into your paperback version of a book and go expanded distribution. You can click that, and Amazon will sell to another bookseller. And so a lot of times authors will go, well, why do I need Ingram? I mean, Amazon looks like they're just going to distribute the book into the bookstores.
Right.
You know, and then the answer I usually give is, can you just imagine a Barnes and Noble buying a book from Amazon? You know, do you think Barnes and Noble is going to order books from Amazon to come into the B&N store? No, they're not going to do that. And it's kind of the same thing with independent bookstores too. They're not going to buy books from Amazon if they can help it. So that expanded distribution may look good to the authors, but it's really not going to do you a whole lot of good as far as getting your book out there. And that's where, go ahead, Diana.
Well, I was going to say one other option I saw with Ingram that I liked was you can do hardcover. They have that option, which is if you're doing a children's book, often they'll do hardcover in the age, picture book or first readers, because the book will get a lot of rough wear and tear.
Yeah. Let me see if I've got. Yeah, so speaking of that, these are books that I'm getting ready to bring to a writers conference. And so this is it's Phantom Gunslinger. It's a hardback.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, it doesn't have a dust jacket on it because that's the way I wanted it. I wanted it kind of like the old Hardy Boys.
Yes,
and this,
yes.
And this is another one, Dead Low Tide.
They look great, Eddie.
Right.
Yeah.
So these came from IngramSpark, and KDP offers, Kindle Direct Publishing offers a hardback version of books, but not this type. Okay, so even again, Amazon is trying to get into the hardback version, but they don't offer the wide variety of sizes for hardbacks. They don't offer all the types of hardbacks. It's again one of those things where I go, Amazon is again kind of like kids grade school kind of stuff. The creative, they're just kind of playing in the sandbox, but they're not really serious about it yet. And Ingram is serious about it. I mean, this is what you get with Ingram. You get a professional looking book,
Right.
and what you said earlier, you get all the resources to go with it to help you get there. So that's one reason I like recommending IngramSpark. It doesn't cost you anything to set up the account. And let me just diverge a little bit. This is relatively new for authors, IngramSpark. Back when we started LPC, when you and I were working together all those years ago, LPC had an account with Ingram,
Right.
and we were paying our monthly account fee to be a part of Ingram. And they were doing print on demand for us, but to qualify with an Ingram account, you had to go through their vetting process, and you had to have published so many books, and you had to have so much in sales each year. So a one author with one book would never be able to get into Ingram 10 years ago. Okay, you just didn't have the access to it.
Right.
But Ingram got smart, and they realized that Amazon was beginning to eat into their market share for print on demand. So they launched IngramSpark, which is really the self-published and the smaller publishing channel for Ingram. It's a way they capture both markets. So with IngramSpark, you don't have to pay a fee to set your account up. You can upload your PDF files, your ebook files, your cover files, just like you would in KDP. The biggest difference, one of the biggest differences with Ingram, you do pay every time you publish a title. Okay. Oh. So, for example, if you're doing a paperback or hardback version, they're going to charge you $25 per file to publish. So you've got an interior file and a cover file. So it's going to cost you $50 to publish the book out on Ingram. So you're going to have to pay that. Unless you are a member of the Independent Book Publishers Association, IBPA.
Okay.
For about $130 a year, you can be a member of them, and you'll get 5 IngramSpark codes each month you can use. The better value, I think, is to become a member of CAN, Christian Authors Network. You'll pay less money to be a member of Christian Author Network, and you still get access to the 5 IngramSpark codes that you can use each month. And with these 5 codes, you can upload either 5 titles, or you can upload revisions to a title. So every time you do a revision for a book with IngramSpark, you've got to pay to resubmit the file.
Oh, okay.
Right. So that's probably the biggest hurdle. A lot of authors look at it and go, yeah, but I'm going to spend money. And I go, well, that's true. But for about $100 a year, you become a member of CAN. You get the 5 codes and you just space out how many times you have to do revisions. Like in my case, I've got multiple books. If I know I'm going to have to make revisions, I'll use 5 codes 1 month, wait till the month ends, put the next 5 months, the next month do the next 5, make the revisions that way.
Well, and your membership with CAN brings you other things as well. So it's not just those 5 codes. It's a beneficial thing for authors. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you get. I mean, it's the CAN membership is a great deal. It's just you get a lot for your money, but the 5 it gets you into Ingram. The other nice thing about IngramSpark is you can set the discounts if you're only aiming for selling your book online to resellers, like if you're not really focused on selling it at a brick and mortar store, but you want to see your book available on Barnes and Noble's website, on Walmart's website, on Target's website, Books A Million, their website, and the independent booksellers, like any indie store that you may be in your community. If you want to see your book available online at those locations, IngramSpark is the way to go, because your book will wind up in their catalog and show up on their website, right?
Oh, wow. I don't think I realized that. That's a great incentive then.
Yes. So I think for my books, I've got, if I go to a books page on my website, there might be 5 links to all of those resellers, online resellers, and people can buy the books from there, right?
Right.
And because it's online, I'm not really concerned about the returns, right? So what you do there, if you have an IngramSpark account, I recommend you use the smallest discount offer. Okay, so in the United States, a paperback book in the U.S. you can offer only a 30% discount. Okay.
Okay.
So for example, this book might list for $14.99. I'll put a 30% discount in. I don't know what the math is, but it might bring the book down to like $10.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the printing charge. The point is there might be $3.50 profit in that book. Okay. Right. And so when the book sells through Barnes and Noble or Amazon, I might make $3.50. Okay. I was looking for, here's the paperback. Yeah, the paperback version of this on Ingram might list for $9.99. If this book sells through Ingram onto Amazon, I might make $2.50 to $3. Okay. If I list it on KDP, I make $1.90. Okay. Yeah. And it's because of the discount that Amazon requires. So I know this sounds like a lot of math problems, but the takeaway is that with IngramSpark, you can use a really short discount, no returns, and make more money per unit sold than you would if you sold it through KDP.
Right. Now, explain, I have a question. So when you pay that $50 fee to get the book published, how long, is there a term set on that? How long the book is available for publication?
No, it's unlimited.
It's indefinite?
Yeah, in fact, it becomes an issue. If you're with a publisher and they return the rights to you, you're going to have to go back and get the book pulled from the Ingram catalog, right? Before you re-release the title, and so that can become a little bit of a lag time in that. But that's the only way a book ever goes out of print with Ingram, is if you actually pull the title from their catalog. The other advantage IngramSpark has is if you want to do an ebook version, then that's the place to go to get wide distribution of your ebook. Because if you put your ebook version up on Amazon, it's only going to be sold on Amazon. That's the only place somebody's going to find your book. Even if you're not in Kindle Select, your book is still only showing up on Amazon's website. Okay, but with Ingram, you upload your EPUB file and you go wide, and now it's available as a Nook, an Apple Book, Kobo, and Google.
At the library. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because when I travel, I use the it's called Libby app.
Yep.
and it's run by Overdrive, but Libby, and I can, listen to audiobooks free from my library, and the authors get credit for those, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they do. And that's really what that's what a lot of the libraries have gone to anyway. It used to be the libraries would try to buy direct from the publisher. Now they're just a lot of them have just found it's easier to buy it directly from Amazon or buy it directly from, a Barnes and Noble to get the ebook that way, and bring it into their inventory. So the libraries have kind of picked up on that as well. The only other thing that I would probably say that you need to be aware of is IngramSpark is very much like KDP in that you have to have you need to have your own unique ISBN number. You don't have to. And IngramSpark will let you use their free ISBN, but then it puts them as the publisher of record or the distributor of record for your title. And then it gets complicated as to where your book is actually available for sale. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I'm speaking right now, I'm guessing because I didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure that if you used Ingram's free ISBN number, your book would then not show up on Amazon. Okay. Because it's coming from Ingram's side, right? Again, it's one of these, we don't play well together, or else they don't have the distribution agreement in place. So
let's talk about that. How do you buy ISBN numbers, Eddie? Do you get them in lots or?
Yeah. So the place you go to get them is, let me see if I can get this real quick. It's called myidentifiers.com.
Okay.
I do not know who came up with that name. I beyond me why they would come up with that, but that's what they came up with. It used to be Boker. You just typed in BOWKER and you could come to the website. But I don't know, about 3 years ago, they flipped the sites over and sent everybody to My Identifiers. It's still the same company. Okay. My Identifiers is owned by Boker. Boker is the one that distributes the ISBN numbers. I think I'm right on this. For $295, you can buy 10 ISBN numbers. So it's $29.95 for 10 numbers. If you want one ISBN number, it's $125. Okay. So the way I present this to authors is if you've got a paperback version of a book, that's one ISBN. If you want to distribute an ebook version through IngramSpark, that's going to be another ISBN. You have to have an ISBN for an ebook through Ingram for wide distribution. Okay. So now that's two ISBNs. So now you're up to 125, 120, up to 250. Okay. For just those two numbers. So for the audience out there who's thinking about getting into this as writing as a business model, my recommendation is to go ahead and spend $295, buy 10 ISBN numbers. They don't go bad. They just sit in your account. We've got some from LPC that have been there for 15 years. They're still sitting there just waiting to be used. And just invest the money in the ISBNs because you're going to need them later because you're going to do hopefully more than one book, right?
Right. Okay, a question. Say there's a husband and wife that are both writing. Can the wife use, if he buys this 295 10 ISBNs, can she use one of his, or is it strictly his, would it show on her book under his name?
Yeah, I don't want to give too much advice because it's a legal issue. There are terms and agreements with Boker and my identifiers that you're supposed to adhere to as a publisher. One of those is you can't sell the ISBNs. Okay. Right. So if I buy ISBNs for myself, I'm not allowed to sell them to you for you to go and use your book. Right.
Right.
Because I'm the publisher.
Say a church decides that they're going to set up a publishing name, like New Covenant Books. And they're going to do that for the congregation. And they buy 10. Would it be under that publisher's name? Yes. And would that be maybe a good way to go for it?
Yeah, so like I said, it's a legal issue. It's a terms and agreement issue. And what they're really asking, Boker's asking you is, if you're the publisher, that you are have an agreement with an author that you're going to publish their book. That's basically what it amounts to.
Okay.
So a husband and wife team, yeah, I mean, if he buys the ISBNs, he's the publisher. She's just an author for his publishing company. And so then in my identifier, she can go in and set up an imprint for just her type of her imprint. Could be, my wife publishing, just make a name up. Yeah. And that could be her little imprint name, my wife publishing. And then she can use his ISBNs under that imprint. Same thing with the church. You could have a church by 10. There could be a young adult publishing. There could be an imprint. There could be a children's imprint. There could be a women's imprint. All those imprints sit under the main publishing name.
Excellent. Okay, great. That's good information to have.
Yeah. So that I think that's probably all I've got on IngramSpark. It's just one of those opportunities I want authors to make sure it's available to them. It's certainly, in my opinion, a much better route to go than a book packager, a self-publishing company that says they're going to get their book out there distributed for you, or Lulu or somebody like that. Almost, I'm not going to say all, but very many of the self-publishing firms that say they're going to distribute your book through their package that they're putting together, most of them are going to wind up going through Ingram anyway. Okay, because Ingram is the largest North American book distributor. So if you're going to distribute a book, you're going to run it through Ingram anyway. And so my recommendation is deal directly with Ingram through IngramSpark. You be the publisher, you control everything, you keep the maximum amount of profit. And if there's an issue, you can deal directly with Ingram rather than having to go through a middle person to do it. They're going to take a cut of what you're doing.
Right. Okay, well, good. Well, thank you, Eddie. I think this is very helpful because so many, especially nonfiction writers, are going the self-publishing way because of the platform and the constraints that traditional publishers are putting on these authors, and also the time constraint. How quickly, if you went in, Eddie, just one more thing, how quickly, if you go in, does it take to publish your book through Ingram?
Through IngramSpark, it varies. It used to be, before COVID, it was really quick. I mean, like within days, right?
Okay.
And I still think the turnaround is probably closer to a few days to maybe a week, but every once in a while you'll submit a book and it may be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they still haven't released the book. And this is primarily on the ebook side, I think. I don't know that I've seen as much of this on the paperback, but I've seen it more on the ebook. And Diana, the only thing I can figure is that post-COVID Ingram still is lacking the staff to get this done. I mean, they're out of Tennessee, outside of Nashville. And COVID, they lost. I think they, just had to send a lot of people home, and so a lot of people are working remotely. So I don't think the infrastructure is where it was back, before COVID.
Right.
But so, and it has to be approved. I mean, Ingram's, I don't say that everybody's looking at everything in a book, but they're reviewing the book. So that's a person.
Yes, and they have a policy in place that if they think they said there was this practice going on where people were actually publishing books that were blank inside, selling books that were blank inside, just had beautiful cover, but no content, and just selling them. And it was like a scam thing going on. And so they have they vetted things out now because they want to be careful not to allow any of that crazy shenanigans to go on, and that just confounds me that somebody would even think of that and try that. But so they do have the vetting, but even 2 to 3 weeks or 6 weeks, when you're working with a traditional publisher, from contract to the book being published is a year, and sometimes a year and a half to 2 years till your book hits the shelf. So, if you're writing on a topic, revival, that's going on now, or something that's real relevant to a timely issue, you know, I can see where self-publishing is becoming a much more viable option for many people.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those. It's interesting because I was thinking about this today. We've got the Asheville Christian Writers Conference coming up this Thursday, you know, and it's that time of the year. And I was thinking about the writers' conferences and the excitement I used to have when I would go to these conferences. There was so much hope and excitement and enthusiasm. And I was thinking, yeah, I don't have that anymore, right? And it's because traditional publishing has gotten so constrained. And of course, if you don't know this, you know, if you haven't been in it a while and seen how the sausage is made, you still probably come at it with hope and excitement. But I'm kind of coming at it more with my eyes wide open than I used to. And I'm thinking it's just not as exciting as it used to be because the hope's not there, except to what you just said. There is nothing that limits how many books I can write and publish, right? If I can create a quality product, I can keep doing this until I die, you know, because I know how to do it now. And I've just told you, everybody here, how to do it. So it's you've got the information. So to your point, if the Lord puts something on your heart, He gives you 3 books to write, go write the books. And don't feel like you're in a box waiting for somebody to say, I approve of your book. You know, make it your best book and, you know, get it edited and all that. But don't feel like you have to wait on somebody else. You know, you can do this yourself.
Yeah, no, it's definite. And especially, I love the idea of churches. At my own church, there are so many writers and so many people with books in them. And if, you know, we could come together, if churches could come together and support that creative art of, you know, the writing and make a way for people to publish, then it would really be a fantastic ministry resource supplier, you know, for books for small groups, all kinds of things that
it gets out of the doctrinal issues because your own church is writing its own curriculum, and you know you're reading the doctrine and the mission statement of your church, and you just write your curriculum and go with it. You know, this is not hard to do. It just takes time. Yeah,
time and, like you said, due diligence. You know, write with let it be excellent. Don't put anything out there with Christ's name on it that has not been edited, has not been polished. You know, and really. You want to put something out that would God would get His glory from, for sure. Yeah,
that's right. Well, this has been fun. Great. We'll have something next week. Probably something.
Yeah, you can give us an update on the conference.
Yeah, I can do that.
That'd be great.
Have a great week, Diana. See you.
Okay. Have a great week, everybody.